So ready. Always
So
ready.
ready.
Ready, Freddy.
Always.
Always. Here, late in the week, once again. We're sorry, Bebe's heads. I don't like the way that sounded. That feels like we're ripping off Peyton ears. Beaver fam, again. There we go.
There we go.
That's ours. Sorry. Sorry, guys. We didn't mean to steal from you directly in the first 20 seconds of the show.
Listen to the Peyton years.
Listen to the Peyton years. Listen to every Oregon State podcast
It's true.
there is. Because that's, 5, 10, 20 years ago, there were no podcasts on anything. What a time.
Is that true?
Can we go back?
Yes.
That might have been better. I don't know. But yeah, no, we love being in the Oregon State Beaver podcast universe. So there's no such thing as too many Beaver podcasts. Listen to us. Listen to all of them. And then rewind them, which you don't need to do because they're podcasts, and listen to them again. I feel like I couldn't have aged myself worse in the span of 1 minute.
I'm glad you didn't say be kind and rewind to your podcast.
Be kind and rewind. I believe you can check out the podcast at your local Blockbuster video. Go on down to the Blockbuster, kids.
That would be so cool to have a shelf.
Yeah,
of Oregon State podcast VHS.
Exactly. Yeah. See, not everything from like outdated technology.
No, that was a great era,
dude. Yeah, I don't want to get stuck in on this because I could talk for hours, but I do genuinely miss, and I know it would be different even if things kind of stayed the same with age, but like going to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or any video rental store was a fun social occasion that I definitely miss.
Yeah. Whether it was family or when you're old enough to like just go with friends.
Right. Going like turning like 14 or 13 or even younger if you had chiller parents. I was about to say cooler. My parents were pretty cool. I kind of lucked out in that department. I think we all did. But like going to Blockbuster for the first time with like just friends and no adult supervision was like a rite of passage.
Yeah, but it was also problematic after like 3 visits when you would go and try to like rent a video game or a movie, and they were like, you have a late fee of like $22. You can't rent anything until you pay. And you're like, come on, can't you just...
It's like, well, I have $6 in my pocket.
Yeah, those can times, you just delay that till my parents are here?
Being young, that the money you had was just in your pocket. There was no like account somewhere. Like, this is my currency. My net worth is what is on my person.
Yeah. Man,
so
I used to be so scheming with the limited. I think I used to go into downtown San Carlos as a kid, like, preteen, ride my bike, meet up with some buddies, and then spend all day downtown with like $1.50 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And there was a vending machine at this like retro style gas station that had cans for like 55 cents versus like, the $1 bottle was at the time. And then I would go to the food market called Foodville of all nights. And like, it's where the food lives, right? Foodville.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It makes sense. And I would go and buy a top ramen package for like 10 cents or 19 cents, whatever it was. And then I would go to the local taqueria and I would just pretend to order food and eat all the free chips at the chip bar. And I would thrive all day and barely cut into the massive amount of funds I had into my pocket.
That's like, I mean, I feel like we were maybe too young to be watching R-rated movies at that point, but like that's a whole scene in Half Baked when Dave Chappelle has $8 total, but still takes that girl out on a date, and there's a counter on the screen the whole time of how he's managing it. Like it
felt like that. Sans the date.
I went again. You said it. I did it. A date with your friends. It's like I went to the 50-cent vending machine versus the $1.25 vending machine, and then my friends and I went on a walk, and it was a perfect summer day. Those were the days.
Those were the days. But these are the days.
These are the days.
Episode what?
61.
161 rum. No.
161 rum that's the step up from 151.
Yeah. Tech Nine sung about it. rap
Very,
about it.
very exciting episode. Start a little bit more of a muted tone. There is no Benny tonight. If you're watching, then you can see that Benny is not here. Benny's younger brother is pretty much smack dab in the path of Hurricane Milton, so he is spending time with family and trying to be there for his brother rather than talk about Blockbuster Video with us on YouTube
Fair.
and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now. So if you say a prayer for Benny's family and for everyone who's down there, send a vibe, send a thought, reach out. I'm sure he'd love to just see a DM from any listener. But yeah, it's bad out there. I saw a friend of the show, Amy Schwartz, is down there, and her family lives in the area as well. It's talking about boarding up her house, her parents' houses, and things like that. It's just it's scary. So hope everyone's found a safe place to ride it out. Hope the damage is manageable, and yeah, just stay safe out there, everybody. Hoping for the best.
Just crazy. I mean, after already experiencing a storm 10 days ago or something. I mean, it's a lot to bear for these communities. So yeah, we're sending our best vibes, all of our love and support out to y'all. I saw Amy post about that, and she did comment, by the way. This is like it's hard to find silver linings in this kind of stuff, but like when you hear these stories of like humanity, like and humans coming together, it does make you feel like a lot better about the world, even with all the tragedy and chaos occurring. But she had mentioned like people were offering, I think it was her post, but it was, at least I read it online, but it was like people were going around and like boarding up windows and like helping to volunteer to help shelter these houses as best as possible and secure them as best as possible. Like didn't want money, didn't want anything other than just like from the goodwill of their hearts, they were helping their communities out. So if you're trying to find something that's the positive out of this, at least that people still care about people out there.
Right. So definitely, keep that in perspective. Now let's talk shit about Duck fans for an hour and 2 minutes. Just kidding. Just trying to keep it light. But yeah, everyone stay safe, and big ups to everyone helping in the community. We can get into this. I have one thing I want to talk about that sort of spawns to other things, but that will be my only little bit of off-brandness for the night.
All right. I'm ready.
I have spent most of last week in the Mohegan Sun Casino in Connecticut for WNBA playoffs. And now the Minnesota Lynx, who I cover, are in the WNBA finals against the New York Liberty.
Congrats.
I fly to New York tomorrow for game 1 of the finals, which I'm very excited about. The Lynx are long-standing, easily, by far and away, the most successful Minnesota sports team ever. Real or fictional.
They're kind of like the Celtics of the WNBA in a way.
Yeah, I probably by like percentage, because the league's been around since 90s. I guess, they're tied with the Comets right now for 4. That little flip song. We might buy the Comets. You name it, I done it. So yeah, this would put them most ships ever, or of everyone. They do have the most playoff wins, but to get to the next best team from these parts, you got to go pretty far down, and you need to go to the fictional realm, because no one even sniffs the Lynx. And the next best team you find is the Mighty Ducks. And I'm sorry for saying the D word in a positive fashion on this podcast. We don't like to do that, but the Mighty Ducks are the opposite.
Not the
of
Fighting Ducks, because no one calls them that.
Exactly. And one of my favorite scenes in the Mighty Ducks universe are shortly after the opening credits of D2, when a young Joshua Jackson, aka Charlie Conway, is getting the gang back together and rollerblading around the Twin Cities, my Twin Cities, rounding up the Ducks. And I think someone did this, but it was like, in all there, it starts with Charlie's by like Emerson Park, and then he gets Jesse Hall. Shout out Jesse Hall. And then they're by Emerson Park, and then they rollerblade to get Averman at the Mall of America, which are not close by any stretch.
Hey, when you're a kid, anything's possible. You can get to Blockbuster if you want.
That's part of it. It's like, where's this Blockbuster? 9 miles away. Cool, let's walk there. What else are we gonna do?
Right.
someone, I'll get the number wrong, but someone online somewhere was just like, yeah, I totaled it up by every location cue that's in that scene. And those kids rollerbladed like 31 miles in an hour and a half.
Well, I mean, like, how fast can you actually rollerblade? It's like running.
Pretty faster than running, I would say. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, as a kid.
it's possible.
Yeah.
And similar, and this is not Oregon State related, it is college football related, and we love to see big teams go down. The Vanderbilt football fans, Vanderbilt students marching the goalpost from that stadium through Broadway in Nashville to the river, which is about the same distance as the Mighty Ducks rollerbladed. And the cops in Nashville were just like, you know what? Fuck it.
Let's just escort them.
Let's block off the entrances to the street.
I love it.
Go do it, kids. And my favorite little tidbit of it is that route goes right by the Nashville Predators hockey stadium. So more hockey here from Mighty Ducks to the Nashville Predators, tie-in. A pro team that exists. The head coach of the Nashville Predators is a man named Andrew Brunette, who played for my Minnesota Wild, is now the head coach of the Predators. Had a preseason game, leaves the stadium, like the equivalent of just leaving work. Imagine leaving your job in drunk 21-year-olds and younger, having a fucking goalpost or marching it by your office and see you and go, shit, Coach Burnett, what's up? And then drop the goalpost on a car. And him being the nice Canadian that he is, stopped and like helped them pick it up and like took pictures and was like, have fun, guys.
Probably left a note on the car too to explain what happened.
He could pay for that. The guy they were talking about this on the Split Zone Duo podcast. Like the amount of money that like Geico or Aflac, being college football sponsors, would put towards that claim is not small. So shout out to the Vanderbilt students.
What a scene. So cool. I mean, you don't see, I mean, maybe it was just because like, you know, you couldn't get all these visuals all over the place growing up. Like it wasn't like you got, you know, to watch every single college football game or hear that much or see that much video about some of the outcomes. I mean, like even Sports Center, like in the earlier days when we were younger, not that early for them, but like when we were younger, if you were watching it, sometimes they were just like, they would just talk about a game because there was no broadcast for it. And if there was a story about anything happening before or after, I mean, it was just verbalized to you, so you didn't get to actually like see it. But at the same time, it did feel like this scene was way more common. I know they've done a lot to secure the goalposts and keep fans off the fields for
I was shocked that they got them down and out of the stadium. I know that stadium's under construction, and like one of those end zones is just a construction site. So like I think you really could. And when I was in Nashville for my buddy Jake's bachelor party, the last day, like other people had left town, we were just kind of in the neighborhood. We walked around Vanderbilt's campus. Very pretty, right in the middle of that city, but still like pretty picturesque. We walked onto the football field. Like we just found the stadium, and this would have been, you know, is it G-Fed? Is that the dude on TikTok who, something like that? I think it's G-Fed. He just has millions of followers because he just get on.
Yeah. I know that guy.
Football fields or like getting
name,
into arenas is like kind of his thing. And this would have been his shortest video ever. It would have been like, all right, here's the stadium, and I'm in the end zone. Like the end, I got it.
Didn't
like,
that happen though? Where was he recently? And he was like, "Oh, right,
UMass."
Gonna be
his UMass video was like, "This is just a park. I walked into it, and there's nothing here. I feel bad for people."
Same guy that is it two different guys though? One does the guy he's trying to see like how to get into the field, into the stadium, and get onto the field, right? Is there another guy that tries to wait out how long he can last inside the stadium?
I feel like he's done. I think he's done. I think it's the same guy, because the dude who did the field stuff, I know he collabed with our guy Roger Sherman on his Road Raj trip, and I know he found his way to a Timberwolves playoff game last year, one of the ones that I was at, and I remember him posting. Like just in all the Wolves content I was watching, it was one of the games they beat the Nuggets. So I'm just like on social media watching every single highlight I can find. And I saw one from him. It was like, they made me leave eventually. So maybe he got on so many football fields that he had to add a new shtick. He did. He was very impressed with Reeser, like everything at Reeser. He walked around Reeser for a while.
He did walk around Reese for a while. He did give us a good showcase.
But to your point too, like we rarely got those visuals, and now within minutes we had like the police helicopter night vision goggle stills or video of everything happening.
Yeah, and
which
also
is crazy.
like, when was the last time you saw that happen?
I think Tennessee fans did it recently, but that's like, so the state of Tennessee, I guess, can do it, and everyone else has to.
Yeah.
When Tennessee beat Bama a couple years ago, they did it, but that was like they were ranked. Bama was 1, and like Tennessee was like 6 or something. Like Vanderbilt's been down bad for a while. This is one where it's like you celebrate however the fuck you want, because this is something that no one had. And my view from it was from the Mohegan Sun Sportsbook. It was on the screen, pretty much right next to where the Oregon State Colorado State game was, and very enjoyable.
A very clear view.
Yeah.
Wasn't this? I saw some statistic. It was like a 3-touchdown favorite. It was like the first upset with an unranked team upsetting the number 1 ranked team, but that was favored by 3 scores or more, since the Beavs did it to USC.
Ooh. See, there's a tie-in.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. Yeah. Thanks, JP.
Yeah. You're welcome. But we should have probably torn down the goalpost when we had our chance.
We should have. But that, I remember both times that group of blue shirt-clad security guards were around both goalposts quick. Like 3 rows deep of just beefy Philomath boys.
Yeah.
And no one was like, people like ran towards the goalpost, and then like you saw how big everyone was who was guarding. They're like, yeah, we'll just
brakes went out real quick.
We'll just dance on the field for a while. That's all I came down here to do. It's fine. Well, anyway, let's do a beer segment and then get into some Oregon State athletics talk. Would you like to go first, JP?
Yeah, mine's quick. I'm just enjoying my typical Starburst. I've had a couple unique new drinks here and there the last few weeks, and I felt like this was a good time to just spotlight the Starburst again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love it. We love a Starburst. I am using mine to highlight another team from Minnesota who is not nearly as successful as the Minnesota Lynx, but kind of acts like they are and certainly wants to be. But they're off to a good start this year. From Udapils Brewing Company, I have a Kolsch style beer that's called Skolsch.
Well,
like
nice
skull,
name.
What the Vikings say.
I like that.
Just a great, easy drinking Kolsch that tastes even better during football season and tastes really good when your team's 5-0 and picking off Aaron Rodgers 3 times.
It would taste even better if you drink it out of a bone.
I put the bone in the garage bar. It's not up here right now. Damn it. Oh, you're right, though.
Next time.
Rookie mistake. Yeah. I'll have it on the next episode of Belligerent Beavs. Though we might, depending on what happens, I might travel with my mic just in case we need to record an episode.
Oh, good idea. Don't leave it on the counter this time.
I'll try not to. Let's cheers to the Beavs.
Cheers, Beavs.
Salud. And to the Mighty Ducks. No other Ducks though.
Not even live ones.
Coach Bombay. If your team is named the Ducks and your coach is not Coach Bombay, then fuck you. Well, JP, we've got a lot to celebrate because the Oregon State Beavers are 4-1, and that means that Trent Bray is the most successful start to a season by a first-year head coach for the program since the 1930s. I have 33 to be exact. Great year.
Yeah, I think.
It wasn't 1929. I think 4 years after the Great Depression, maybe we bounced back a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm an English teacher, not a history teacher. So apologies. I have highs and lows. But I've had a lot of time to, sit with them since, this is a Wednesday night and the game was on Saturday. But ultimately, Oregon State's 4-1. When you saw the schedule when it came out, you looked at the first 5 games and you said, you kind of have to be 4-1 to feel good. And they're there, and there's been, positives and negatives. But hey, the thing I want to start with, even with the game not on audio, I watched it back eventually with audio, but watching it from a sports book on the East Coast where no one cared except for the gregarious gentlemen I met who were betting on every fucking game, saw I was cheering for Oregon State, so immediately threw $200 on it, which ended up cashing out for them. So they were very nice to me for the rest of the night. Yeah. They were like, "You think you're gonna win?" And I was like, before I even said like, "Yeah, of course," which I eventually did say, "I promise." He was already running to the cashier to put the live bet in. Louis, what's his name? Yeah, like he bet on the live line.
Yeah,
which had shifted to I think 4 at that point. It was early. So maybe we were down. We were down 7. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But most from some figures that Oregon State put out, most students ever to attend a game at Reser Stadium, and also the most watched college football game on the CW this season, which basically makes it the most watched college football game at all this season.
Yeah,
pretty much. We don't need to check the other networks.
No,
it's the CW's world.
Padding their numbers anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to trust
CW is good, guys? Honest reporting.
Yeah. By the way, I have to tie this back a little bit to the pod 33 most notable event. I mean, President Roosevelt established the New Deal, so yes, we were coming out of the Great Depression.
I mean,
that's not the coolest part.
Okay, it's getting better.
It was on December 5th. 1933, First Amendment was passed and Prohibition was officially over.
There we go. We need to have like a December 5th anniversary episode. That should be when we host Belligerent from now on.
Ooh,
because it's the time.
It is the time, and we can almost always now celebrate our coach for the best first year football coach start at Oregon State since Prohibition was repealed.
I do think it's important that it looked like an awesome atmosphere on TV and that the student section is showing up and coming correct and that the lights look awesome during night games and they're doing everything they can to make it seem like a serious football university to all those eyeballs who may not have considered it before. Think about all the people who couldn't have stumbled upon an Oregon State football game before this. And
oh man,
from an attraction event programming standpoint, it looks like a university to be reckoned with and belongs in just the visuals of the game. It looks like a Power 5 conference hosted football game. And that is important. And I think a lot of people were worried about that coming into the year. How would it look on the CW? Are fans going to keep showing up? Does any apathy set in? And for 5 games into this to see that that's not the case is big. They do need to keep it rolling, but
I would say winning helps. Yeah. I think eventually, people are going to feel less inclined to force themselves to go to a game if they are only feeling guilty about the circumstances.
Right.
So winning will continue to let this roller coaster keep going. But it was like 530 something viewers. I don't know, something like that. But then
it peaked at like
peak.
Its peak
at
was like
880 or something.
Yeah, it was near 900 at its peak.
And again, as you were saying, people probably heard about it and tuned in.
Yeah.
But most people also probably heard about it, then stumbled upon it and recognized it because they'd heard about it. They didn't tune in maybe because somebody texted them was like, quick, turn the TV on. They probably heard there was a good game. They probably were flipping around. They found the game. I mean,
and it's getting to a point too now where I think like the CW just needs to keep broadcasting games. Like the same sports book, I swung by it during the earlier games because it was, the day between the WNBA games I had to cover. There was no practice, no media availability. I just had to wait a day to have something to do pretty much. I'd already written the things I needed to write. And I walk into the sports book and the NC State Wake Forest game, which was on the CW, was right there. Like it was on it. So like to go to a place that like prides itself on being like, we are going to broadcast the games that are on TV and like knew to put that game on. Maybe someone requested it. I don't know. But like that it's in that rotation.
But it's available. Yeah. Because it's available.
So
the Pac-12 networks
right, like
was.
I would have had to go up and ask some poor bartender in Connecticut, do you have the Pac-12 network? And have them say, I don't know what that is. And me being like, you probably have it. They're like, I don't think we do if I have it.
And they're like, what?
Yeah.
What is
so
that?
I'm like, and then I'm Googling what would the Pac-12 network channel number be in fucking whatever county, Connecticut.
On Spectrum.
Try 84. And they're like, there's a lot of people here. I need to serve drinks. Sorry, bro.
Yeah.
But no, I was like,
this isn't worth my time.
Oregon State, Colorado. Like the part of the bar didn't have it, and it was like 20 minutes to kick off. And they asked, like, they saw I was wearing my old school Benny crew neck, and he was like, oh, you here to get that game on? I'm like, yeah, I'll find it for you. And then it was a minute long thing. And then guys come over, they're like, oh, you have money on this game? And I'm like, a little bit, but really, I went to school there and I do a podcast, and I'm really sad about realignment. Can I give you my life story?
Rides on this game.
Yeah. And also my mortgage, but that's less important.
I do that one every game. No, right. I want to also point out, like, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean that the CW is the better choice than like streaming. Not saying that streaming is the better choice than the CW, but the principle is the same.
Right. It's nice that it's going well.
Be available.
It seems.
And then, and make sure it's a good partnership. Make sure that the broadcast is well done, well thought out, well received, available, and people can just go to it on a whim. I mean, that's like, you get that with any linear TV that's not cable. You get that with anything that's not an over-the-top, like additional overflow channel over streaming, like ESPN Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And you could get it a provider such as Apple that has literally everyone's fingertips available.
I think it pairs well with a lot of possibilities, like you just found out.
Yeah.
One more thing adjacent to the CW, and then we'll talk about actual football. But this Saturday against Nevada, which I believe is 4:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Yep. 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on CBS Sports.
CBS Sports Network.
CBS Sports Network. So you can CBS Sports streaming, that would also be on that. I've done that in the Garage Bar a couple of times. Our San Diego State game was on CBS Sports Network. There is, I will be in New York. Big deal. Good for you. Who cares, Terry? But hanging with good friend of the pod, Ashton Batuso, who has a somewhat kind of organized Beavs watch party at Standings Sports Bar in the East Village, and it's apparently going to be on the CW at some point. It'll just be like kind of like a live looking like camera shot or something. That's my understanding.
CBS Sports.
I don't know who, but I think it's like CW is going to use it in its like sports promotion.
Oh,
so I don't know if it'll be live during the game or what. But that's not the point. The point is calling all New York area Beavs. Maybe we'll do a live podcast like on a whim or something. I'll Riverside in JP and Benny, and we'll find something to do. But if you are anywhere near New York, anywhere in the city, you want to hang out with, other Beavs, like-minded people who bleed orange and black at a fun bar. I've been told it's a fun bar. There's no way it can't be. And come to Standings on Saturday. It'll be a blast. There's no WNBA game that night, so I can be there and be my full self.
And their slogan is, there's no sitting at Standings.
Is that true? Did you just look it up?
I made that up.
That's perfect. I will. I normally don't sit during Oregon State football games.
Neither.
No sitting at Standings at Standings NYC on Instagram. There could be like playoff baseball that interferes. I don't know, but I think it's something of somewhat organized of a watch party at this point. So anyway,
it will be on a screen.
It will be on a screen, and we will be merrily cheering for the Beavs and drinking beers or whatever your flavor is, and it'll be fun. So if you're on anywhere on not even just the New York area, everyone on the East Coast has to come, or I will be sad, and that will be on your conscience.
Yeah, from the Carolinas to Maine, you better make your way there.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, Oregon State, big winners, 39-31 in double overtime. A bit of a thrill ride in this one. What's kind of your main takeaway from this win against Colorado State?
I feel like it's kind of all over the place. Like, I don't know if there's a main takeaway.
It was an all over the place game.
Yeah, but I would say, like, if I had to like pull out something that I felt was a new revelation, or like something that was maybe less agreed upon, widely agreed upon, I just think that this team clearly still has the grit. Maybe there's a little bit of a lull in the performance numbers. The defense especially is taking a pretty big step back from last season when it comes to their
although the defense was very good for 3 quarters.
I agree. But I'm just saying the overall general body of work this season has not been as impressive as last year. But I think that the grit's still there. The drive is still there. There isn't like this like pouty, like woe is me kind of play when things go rough. And that's something that I don't think we really had the like a true chance to see yet this season. And this was clearly a great example of like a bend don't break, which is what we always say about our defense, because they tend to do that for a lot.
Right.
But this was clearly as a team effort, like a bend don't break, like figure it out, get it done. Doesn't matter what it takes.
Sure.
And like, stay steadfast in that effort.
And it was one of those games where like, I just kind of felt like the whole time we were going to win 21-10, which is not very sexy, but it gets the job done. And you see that 10 on the scoreboard and you're like, all right, good. Like defense held on, did its job. And then the fourth quarter just got drunk as hell.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things to be concerned about, I think, and fairly, but it was nice to see them withstand a bunch of shit going wrong and not really flinch. Like, I kind of thought it was over when Colorado State took the lead and went up a field goal. And then for us to march right back down, Everett Hayes, who's had a difficult season, just, drilled that one to tie. And then overtime, in the 2 overtimes, I thought we were clearly the better team. It's weird to say that about the first overtime when both teams get a touchdown and send it to a second one. But we got absolutely hosed on a PI.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been huge. And just, I thought overall the game was officiated fairly up in like that was, I think, the most egregious one I thought that was made. But yeah, so I do have a lot of thoughts on allowing Colorado State to do what they did, but also making sure they escaped. And then also just the scene on the field afterwards. I'm fully at the point where I don't give a shit who goes on the field after wins. This is supposed to be fun. They've tried to take so many things away from our 2 programs in particular.
They encourage it. They tell you to wait like 5 minutes or whatever. And there's a massive countdown clock on the scoreboard.
And anytime Trent Bray hugs a shirtless Beaver fan is a good day. So that video on social media, like that's another thing. That's a great social media post. So that's circulating around college football right now. It's like, they took our conference away, but we were rebuilding it and we may not have our old conference. We don't have shirts on either because we don't give a fuck. And that's a vibe. And people get down with that vibe. I think the most positive thing here, and it's something that needs to be monitored because you don't want to overdo it, but I do think Giovanni McCoy having 10 runs for 91 yards is kind of what we were asking for from the offense, to utilize his legs a bit more. This clearly isn't going to be a super explosive, chuck the ball all over the place, vertical passing offense. And it felt like in those first couple games, they were leaving a couple of potentially explosive plays on the field by keeping Giovanni in the pocket or having him, try and, scramble around until he can find an open receiver. And it does look like that is an adjustment that has been made. And he made some pretty nice plays and smart plays too. Like I think he's done a good job of judging when to seek out a little bit of contact for the extra yards or when to just, scamper out of bounds and, take what he can get. So I think that is a big thing where you need, especially if we're missing Jam for a while.
Yeah. And it's a while.
Do we know for sure on Jam? I didn't mean to steer that into a negative, I promise. But
No,
that is kind of a
no.
big plot point we need to hit.
We've been told, and then it's been our belief was confirmed. Yeah, he's
Done.
done. Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah,
That is not great.
yep.
So
No,
next man
it's
up, Saladin Allah and Jake Reichel. Welcome to the party. You're probably going to get a lot of carries.
yeah. Or we're gonna see and I think at least at first we'll see a pretty massive load on Hank. I
Yeah.
mean, that's where
Hank,
you got to turn to somebody that's shown it and not just start
right.
divvying up 50-50 to people who
Oh, yeah. I don't
haven't
think
been running the ball
I
like
love
as much as they
Salah,
have.
but I don't want this to just be like, all right, we'll put Hank in the Jam spot and Salah in the Hank spot. I think
Right.
now you have more of a recognized RB1. Hank got 26 carries against Colorado State, sorry. And Bray mentioned not wanting to go north of that for him, which I think is smart. You know, it's one of they're freak things too, where it's like you can get hurt on any carry. It could be the first carry of the game. It could be like the 30th, but you do need to sort of keep that tread on the tire in mind. So I don't want to see, Hank getting into like the 30, mid 30 range, certainly. But if he's around 20 and then you're having Vonnie run more and divvying up, 6-7 apiece to Salah and Jake, then I think you're
And running
approaching
some fly sweeps. I mean, get creative. I
Yeah,
think that this is where
giving the ball to Zach Card in any way that you can. Like,
yeah,
that is
this
something
is where we're going to see a lot about what Gundy's got, deep in the playbook.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, Terry,
right. Look directly at me on this.
yeah, have their feelings about Gundy's play calling. And I
Right.
think in a lot of senses, it's any criticism is fair. But
Yeah.
I also wonder how much of it is, familiarity, personnel, in a feeling out period with both of those things.
Right.
Right. Like now we're seeing Giovanni start to run. How much of it is design play, like, or, play action, or him just running on his own? Like, probably, I don't know, one of those runs that he had last Saturday. But he's clearly been told, hey, the green light. If nothing's
Right.
there, go. And I think some of that had the brakes on it because we were hoping to see how the receiving core looked against, a live defense. And they haven't been able to stretch the field. They haven't been able to get open, at least not in time before the pocket starts to collapse.
Right.
And so I think we'll just continue to see these adjustments. But I also think at this point, you got to pull every trick out from your sleeve.
Yeah.
And run those plays a lot more frequently than we have been, because we're down quite a bit. And we know that we're lacking a dimension with the receiving game.
That's where, and it's unfair for me to put all the criticism on Gundy or the offense. And of course, when things aren't going great, who's the first person who's always blamed in any team, any football team with any fan base? It's the offensive coordinator,
Gary
or
Anderson,
whoever's calling plays. I'm still like, God damn it, Anderson, this guy's a joke. The most frustrating thing about the fourth quarter was the game went exactly how you want it to for Oregon State to win games in 2024. They, I believe, got that touchdown to go up 21-10 on the first play of the fourth quarter. We are a strong running team, still lead the country in time of possession. This team is absolutely constructed to have a 2-possession lead in the fourth quarter and put the nail in it and just seal it. Like, that should be, especially playing at home against a Colorado State team that I enjoy. I'm happy they'll be conference mates with us for the foreseeable future, but is a team that they're competitive and they got a lot of sauce, but I don't think it's the most quality team right now, especially on defense. And it's not all on the Oregon State offense, because the next 3 possessions went Colorado State touchdown, Oregon State punt, Colorado State touchdown. And then the lead was gone. We're down 24-21. But to not be able to ride that wave into an easy victory is a glaring concern to me, and I'm glad that they
Yeah.
fought back and got it done. But you have to find a way especially when your defense stopped the 2-point conversion and you still have more than a field goal lead. At least get something. Have a drive that melts the clock, gets you into good field goal range. Because I think one thing on Bray is I think he sent Hayes out there for a lot of not easy kicks that he hasn't made, and you got to be conscious of your kicker's confidence, and putting him out there for a field goal that's less than a 50% chance make rate, I don't think is always the smartest thing to do. Not the biggest deal in the world, but I think it's happened a couple times this season. So that drive being a bust and then Colorado State immediately making our defense pay is the biggest sort of concern that I have. And then on that drive to tie it up and force overtime was the first time we saw Darius Clemens in that game, and it was less than 2 minutes left. Maybe Darius hasn't been able to get open. We don't watch all 22 film. We don't sit there and grind tape. We don't pretend to know more than Gundy. He obviously spends more time with this, but the fact that it doesn't seem like they can manufacture touches for anyone other than Trent Walker. And that's frustrating because Clemens has shown that he is probably has the highest ceiling of anyone in that group.
Yeah.
Save for maybe Zachary Card, who also has shown to have a very high ceiling.
But so again, but they started to manufacture touches for Card.
Yeah.
Getting him into the fly sweep.
And it just seemed like we got hit and didn't know what the hell to do on that drive, when it's like, this is supposed to be where we put the nail in it. Like, this isn't supposed to be a problem. So I think all the concerns there are valid. I'm eager to see how they respond. But yeah, it showed that there's still weaknesses and places to grow. I'm not asking for anyone to get benched. I'm not asking for anyone to get fired. But it looked like the identity that we thought we had didn't come to fruition in a key spot, and that's something that I hope has been addressed this week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can address
that's a much less harsh way of saying it than I said in our group chat, but I didn't want to leave him completely off the hook. But also, like, I'm not rational when I'm watching games. Darius Clemens not getting a target until less than 2 minutes left, and regardless of the score, is not going to be okay with me almost ever, unless he has a broken leg or something. If he's active and dressed, he needs to be getting the ball, and find a fucking way to get him the ball. That's my request for the suggestion box of the week.
I mean, I think you got to start to get all the any player that can receive involved. Like that is a very missing dynamic of the offense. It's not for lack of attempts. I mean, Vonnie against Colorado State had 28 attempts. Of course, against Purdue, he had just 18. 34 against Oregon. He had a pretty decent day with 22 of 34. 16 at San Diego State, or 26 attempts at San Diego State, but then only 9 against Idaho State. But that was really the
Idaho State game
burn clock,
right? But yeah, and then we haven't looked at the total drop back numbers, but so yeah, it's not for a lack of trying. And I guess I think the main concern here is I don't know that we've played a quality defense other than Oregon's. And it's not they're not playing fantasy football out there. They still could, but that's where, on the question I have here when looking ahead to Nevada, they're 2-4. They've been a pretty bad football team the last few years. I do think they're a bit better this year. I don't think that 2-4 record is totally indicative of where they are at right now as a program. But if before the season, if you had told me the records, Nevada 2-4, Oregon State's going down there as 4-1, I would have expected a bit more of a cushion than being 3.5 point favorites. And I think that lack of explosiveness on offense is the biggest factor in Vegas not thinking Oregon State, should have a bigger, or I know that's where the money goes and everything like that. But that's
comes
a
down
reason
to
why.
Because people know how we do win. And it's obviously a lead in time of possession. And when we don't have,
and hold on for dear fucking life.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take a win no matter how we get it.
As long as they get the win, it's fine. But
what we saw against Colorado State was a lot of stalled drives, a lot of non-converted first downs on drives that we needed to extend. And I think that is the worry, is if you can't just like run the clock and maintain possession, will this team like hang on to a lead? And we saw that it got close because we couldn't do that.
They gave up the lead and had to take it back.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, we got close to losing it
Right.
altogether and not coming out with the W.
Right.
So I can understand why Vegas might look at it and go, like if that happens again, it opens up a lot of possibilities for Nevada to pull something out.
Mm-hmm. That's just
we do got to shout out though. That was the Jermaine Terry II coming out party.
I was gonna say, yeah, the tight end usage is at least going up in terms of percentage, and one of those plays got very ugly, but a couple of them were great, and if that's just a matter of Vonnie and the tight ends building up their rapport and getting more comfortable with each other, or Gundy trusting them with more of the passing offense. When you run a lot, you need tight ends to stay in and block. You know, if you're a tight end who doesn't run block, you're not going to get snaps at Oregon State. It's just not going to happen. So I was happy to see their number called a few more times, because that needs to be a threat that defenses take seriously. It doesn't need to return a ton. You know, Terry has one touchdown, was that amazing play against Stanford last year. He doesn't have to have a ton of touchdowns, but I'd like more than one. And right now I would like a first one and then maybe a 2 or 3 more. I think if
I would just like a fourth reception.
Yeah. If he has 4, like 5 receptions, 4 touchdowns, like that's kind of the old Jerome Bettis rushing line. Like 5 carries, 1 yard, 3 touchdowns somehow towards the end of his career. Just total return rate efficiency for the bus. Yeah. And I think the concern also is wrapped up in getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. Like, we've got UNLV looming. San Jose State, offense put on a show in that game that we all watched on the Palouse. And the game between Nevada and San Jose State was really competitive. That was a close loss for Nevada. And of course, Boise State with Ashton Genty, who may be the Heisman favorite right now, and Washington State. Like, those aren't going to be low scoring games, even if the defense is playing well. Like, we're going to have to score points for this to be more than a 6-7 win season and to really feel good about it.
And to come back, if you're even down a field goal or like a touchdown, you need to be able to strike quickly.
Right.
Even if you don't do that, you need the defense to be aware that you can, so you can gain underneath. I mean, like, we need to prove that we can stretch the field on offense beyond the carries. I know we've gotten some big plays, but we need to show them that, like, we can move 40, 50 yards on 3 straight pass attempts.
Right. This may be a terrible time to go into this, but revisiting the preseason predictions.
Yes.
This was after predicting blowout wins. Well, you didn't predict a blowout win against Oregon, but multiple possession wins against Colorado State and Purdue, of course. You're only one of the 3 who had us losing to Nevada 24-21. Now, like I said, Nevada's shown that they're a better football team than what we expected when we did the predictions episode 155, I believe, is the number for that.
Yeah, or 54, one of them, but yes. I don't remember.
For this segment, are you going to bet or bail on your preseason prediction of Oregon State losing this game in Reno? I know I was supposed to be the negative one, but now you're thinking about it.
Look, it's our second road game of the season.
It is.
It's not like we struggled in our first, but I think that's, well, I mean, the
offense kind of did.
Shut them out.
The defense was great.
Shut them out.
Right. Defense does travel.
Yeah. And so that's where I'm kind of going back and forth. Like, maybe we don't have that kind of, monkey on our back like we used to around the road games, which is one of the things I did mention was riding high 5-0. We'd roll into our first like true test mid-season on the road.
Right.
After having a very cushy travel schedule.
Yeah, it has been cushy.
Yeah. I said 24-21.
24-21 Nevada. The Wolfpack of Nevada getting the victory.
Okay, so what's the spread? Is It's
3.5. And if you're interested, it looks like clear skies, a high of 73 on Saturday. So it should just be a pretty regular early to mid October day.
So, so the spread is 3, which is essentially what I have. But
the other, you have
and
them
the over
right.
47.5.
You have 45.
I'm sorry, I'm not gonna walk away from it. I'm gonna
You're gonna bet. All right. You gotta mix it up, So that's 24-21. I predicted this was my full age, 42-14. I'm bailing on that, but I'm gonna take Oregon State to win and cover. It's gonna be a weird score. This just feels like a 29-19 game to me.
Wow.
I don't know how we get to 29, but we do. I don't know how they get to 19, but they do. And that has me just hitting the over as well. So Oregon State covers and the over hits.
He said 29-19.
Yes.
It would not be a scoregami, by the way.
That's like, it's odd, but it's not super weird.
Well, there's only been 19 games
ever. Okay.
In college football that have had that score. So
have any of them involved Oregon State?
If you all scores, go to the score.
I was about to say 26-9 because that was the score of that San Diego State game at home last year. Because it just kind of feels like that type of win where it's like, we did it, but do we feel good? I don't know. And then I was like, I think we give up more than 9 points at Nevada. So I amended it to 29-19 in my head.
So
neither
team has been involved in a score. The outcome was 29-19 on either side, winning or losing in the 19-game history of that.
How many scoregamis are left? I guess infinite because that's how numbers work. But like true scoregami.
I mean, there's still a grid. But yeah, it could be forever if somebody starts scoring 200 points a game. Sure. But I would say if you're looking at the
scoregamis under 50 points.
You know what? Yeah. Obviously there's no score to 1, though there are somewhere somehow
to 2, I would imagine.
No, there is one game ever that was like a 35-1 outcome. I don't know. I'm not going to go figure out what year that
must have been like forfeit rules or something like that.
Maybe, but nobody has scored 37-4. That is.
It would be so wild if you were that bad on offense. But
this one's more reasonable. 6-11.
That's a pretty reasonable.
Get a field goal, and you go for 2 on an extra point. But
or a field goal and 4 safeties. Wait, 46-11 has never happened in college football.
How about this one? 46-18 has never happened.
That seems crazy to me.
46-31 never happened.
Okay, this is good. I need to start
47-32.
Okay, there are scores that have never happened. We don't need to say every single one of them. 47-32.
But there's infinite possibilities. So
exactly. 47-32 feels like one that should have happened a few times by now in the history of college football. 35-1. I think that's either a forfeiture type thing or you probably could have kicked an extra point without scoring a touchdown in some weird circumstance in 1908. So
yeah, it was Penn beat Columbia 35-1.
Yeah, and what do those
November
Ivy League
14th,
kids know?
1883.
1880. That's pre old Haas Radburn. That's how long ago that was. That's pre.
They still filled the scoregami square. Okay,
That's did
their legacy.
Exactly. Good for them. That might be the old. Well, no. I've looked up some sumo wrestling stuff too, and I get sumo wrestling is so old that you can't even figure out where it started. Historians have no idea. So that's actually the oldest sporting thing that I've looked up before. But 1883, yeah, I don't look up too many nuggets from pre 1883. So shout out to the football teams at the sporting institutions of Penn and Columbia. My cousin played football at Columbia, not in 1883, but in the 2000s. So
close.
Go Lions. Yeah. All right. Anything else on football here? I mean,
yeah, I guess back in those days there was a score you could get that was similar to a safety, and it was when the ball was kicked into the opposing team's end zone.
Dude,
the defending team failed to return it into the field of play.
See,
That would award the attacking team 1 point.
That fixes your kickoff rule, NFL.
It does.
But do you remember when they had that? It was the tee was set up at the 30, and then they moved it up because they're like too many people are getting hurt on kick returns. We have to make sure there's less kick returns, so they moved it up to 35, and guys have started booting touchbacks all the time. But I remember when it was the 30, it was actually kind of hard to truly kick it through the end zone, and
you can get it deep.
The Vikings were one of the teams I remember. I mean, that's just like the team I watched, obviously, but they had their punter do their kickoffs because Mitch Berger was their punter who had a leg. He was a dude who would eat Snickers on the sidelines during games and had like he had a shoe for kickoff and a shoe for punting that he'd interchange, and he'd put the candy bar in his shoe, and people were like, that's kind of gross. But then it was like, whatever, that punters are gross people. They just have to be, right? He would multiple times I saw him kick from when the tee was on the 30 through the uprights. And I remember being a kid being like, that should be worth points. That's hard to do.
Or why can't you do that on a field goal attempt?
Yeah. So yeah, that's an 81-yard field goal, that equivalent. I know it's different. Don't at me.
No.
Film sickos. Anyway, so yeah, Oregon State at Nevada, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, CBS Sports Network. If you're in New York, standings where there's no sitting, that might discourage people from coming because it's not comfortable. There are no chairs. There's one stool and we fight over
bird spikes, pigeon spikes.
Can't wait. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to be in New York. Can't wait to hang out with Ashton and Tim and all the Oregon State fans out there. We're bi-coastal, baby. More bi-coastal than the ACC. We started that shit. Oh, man.
By the way, it's not standing slogan. I'm looking.
I figured it wasn't. It would have been wild if you just took a guess at what their slogan might be, and then it actually happened to be the same thing.
But it should be. So
that's more wild than any scoregami.
Consult. It's true. I mean, the odds would be.
We need the scoregami grade for random belligerent Beavs predictions. That would have to be the longest chart.
Has anyone nailed a square yet from our predictions episode ever?
Did anyone accurately predict the slogan of some random bar in the East Village, only knowing their name? Nope. All right. That bet's still up for grabs. A free Chop 'em shirt to whoever gets it.
Yeah.
We should do more trivia contests, like within reason.
We should.
We'll come back. We'll come back to that.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
Anyway, some stuff on the diamond. I want to talk a little bit baseball here before we get out. Stephen Kwan's kind of killing it in the playoffs. That doesn't surprise anyone. We've seen how he played playoff baseball at Oregon State.
There's no one more steady than him on the field. Or
like 5 or 6 hits already in this series, and Cleveland is kind of with their backs up against the wall, though, against the Tigers. So Cleveland, which I think is maybe everyone's favorite team outside of the Baltimore Orioles, but Cleveland really should take the cake now with I know Trav's not on the big team right now, but he will be very soon. So Kwan and Baz together. So we'll see. I'm pulling for them. My uncle Ray is a Cleveland guy and has always been a diehard Guardians fan. Also love the movie Major League. When I love
like lifelong
Guardians fan.
Guardians fan. Not that I approve of their old name, but it's just so weird.
Lifelong Indians fan into Guardians fandom. The Cleveland Guardians statue, of which it is named, actually has been around a long time, which was something I was mistaken. But yeah, lifelong Cleveland baseball supporter. Cleveland Baseball Club. It's like Premier League shit now. Cleveland
Washington
City
Football Club.
Which I still kind of think they should have kept. Be the first American pro team to do it.
Yeah, what is their name now? I can't even think of it in my head.
The Commanders.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
And they changed the W, which is dumb. They didn't use a W a lot, but they had one. And it was like, you didn't need to change the font. It looks like folded paper. Anyway.
And this isn't a black uniform.
This isn't a UniWatch podcast, though it should be. We shout out UniWatch, which is probably something that brought you and I together, JP, early in our friendship, was just talking about things on UniWatch.
Yep.
But Stephen Kwan is killing
days.
it. Hope that Cleveland can come back against the Tigres. Kwani's doing his part. Figure your shit out, Guardians. Help your man out.
I did see that one slow-mo, like, is it a catch? And
I gotta be honest, I haven't been watching a ton of baseball in the playoffs. I've been
I know, but
kept busy. But I've seen a couple highlights.
I believe it was Kwani, and then it was like it looked like it maybe hit the turf and then went into the glove, but it also could have hit the his like pinky and bounced into the glove. The post on X didn't explain anything. It was just like, so is this a catch or no? Like, it didn't say like, well, what was the ruling? The catch.
Who's winning? What does this mean?
So as I stared at it like 4 straight times, I was like, I don't have the mental bandwidth to try to decide without the answer being given to me. So I'm moving on. So if anyone knows what that actual circumstance was, let us know.
Sure. And also, the only thing I tried, I was like, I've got 5 minutes here at like halftime of the Lynx game or whatever in the arena, like just kind of that moment where I was like waiting for the second half to start. I was like, let's check in what's going on in some of these games. Go to Twitter, and all it is Dodger fans bitching about Padres showboating. And I'm like, this is what we've gotten to. Like, I used to respect, I've never really liked the Dodgers, and part of it never liked, hold on. And a lot of it was then becoming friends with you and being a Giants appreciator, especially in the 2010s. You'd be like, okay, my NL allegiance is up for grabs, whatever. But like, when the COVID season and the Astros were coming off after cheating the Dodgers and cheating all of baseball, but I was like, all right, I understand why the Dodgers are fucking pissed. I'd be pissed too. And, Joe Kelly saying nice swing bitch to the Astros, like them doing like all those like mocking pouty faces. I was like, this is why I like baseball. Like, I like gestures like this. I like the showmanship, showboating. I like the banter. I like everything. And now just because Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado are doing to it, y'all can't handle it. Child, please. So go Padres. I believe that series is now tied at 2 games apiece. But yeah, that's just Dodger fans. I'm just like, I literally was like, what's happening in the MLB playoffs? And everything was just Dodger fans being soft. So yeah, that's also just kind of social media. So it's not all of the fans' fault. But if you're complaining about someone else showboating, just shut the fuck up, take a nap, touch grass, do literally anything else except doing that.
Yeah. Like, who cares? Let them live.
Yeah, let them dance.
And especially if you
it's a game.
Let your own players live.
An inherent part of a game is for it to be fun.
And also, if anything needs a little bit more spice and attention right now, it's Major League Baseball.
I prefer when the game had no spice. Like when Yale and/or Columbia scored 1 point against the other in 1883. And then I got to go watch the Providence Grays play someone with no spice. And
you're very proud of your cousin who got that 1 point by kicking the ball to the
my first cousin, despite being over a century apart in age. We are first cousins. No. Shout out Darren Schmidt, my cousin. Yeah, I believe he was first team All Ivy a year or two.
Wow.
Yeah, he was
it's
good.
Not hard to do when there's only 2
and from
teams,
Cleveland.
One of them scored 1 point in a game.
Yeah, I don't know if he ever scored because he played defense, but I'm sure he had a pick 6 at one point at some level, and also a Cleveland fan. So, yay!
Nice.
Another perfect episode. We got to shout out the men's soccer team who are back. In the top 25, 4 straight wins, 2-0 victory over St. Mary's.
And women's won 2 tonight.
Women's also won tonight. Hell yeah!
They're still 5 straight unbeaten in WCC
5 straight unbeaten.
Play.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at us tearing up the pitch.
2-0.
Soccer school.
Yep. Our dude McKenna got a goal, second goal of the game. Got our second goal.
Got our second goal. So McKenna. Next week we'll have a McKenna all-time scorers update because I'm sure they'll have another game or so, and we'll do the research on McKenna's spot in that illustrious ranking.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right. Well,
and
thank
hopefully
you.
we'll have Benny back, and you'll have
Hope
your
we'll have Benny
microphone if you're
back.
traveling.
And I'll be back in Minneapolis by Monday. So just if we want to record game 2 of the finals is Sunday, but it's in the afternoon, so I could do late, but I'll be on the East Coast. So we'll get to test that. No, we've done one. I was in Philly for one episode back in the day. That was when Carter Baines was on. That was the night that Will Smith punched Chris Rock at the Oscars, because I remember that was on my hotel TV. And I was like, you guys,
Napa.
I think yeah.
We were like all over the place.
We were all over the place. Then it was like, whoa. And like Carter had just gotten back from Greece or something.
Yeah,
so it's like, yeah, this medium really can. We were all at our local Blockbuster videos, of course. That's the only place you can record podcasts. But yeah, that's why Blockbuster is global. That's why podcasts are global. That's
that was
why
that hidden section that they didn't let minors into. Was the
exactly?
Podcast
it must be 18 or over. Yeah, because you got to record a podcast because your parents don't love you and you need something to do. Just kidding. I love you, Dad. From all of us at the Belligerent Beavs Podcast, sending good vibes again to Benny and his family and to everyone affected by Hurricane Milton. Hope everyone's in a safe place and everyone is, in touch with their family, friends, loved ones. Stay safe, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the 161st episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. I am and have been Terry Horstman. You can find me at Terry Horstman on Twitter and at Terrence Horstman on Instagram.com. I am joined, as I always am, by our fearless leader, the man on the ones and twos, steering the ship, making it work, making it flow, JP Bertram in Portland, baby.
That was me.
By way of San Francisco. On Twitter at the Trill J. That's at the _Trill _J, because he's too trill to be real. And at JP Bertram on Instagram. And you can follow us, for gosh darn sake, at Bellig Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs everywhere else. That means Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Haven't shouted LinkedIn for a while. YouTube, especially. The YouTube's been popping. The Blue Sky probably hasn't been touched since it's been started, but it's there. If you're on Blue Sky,
shout out to Ashton for the invite.
Instagram Threads,
also
in your MySpace top 8.
Yep.
Is anyone still on MySpace? Can you, if you wanted to, could you go to MySpace and just start one? This is where we make the ending last like 15 minutes.
No, you can't. I'm signing up for a MySpace.
Fuck yeah, let's do it. What should be the song that plays really loud whenever someone goes to our profile? I think the last one I had was Slow Motion by Juvenile, which is the equivalent to the Oregon State fight song. It'd be great if we ever had to replace the fight song. I'm not saying we would. It would. Slow Motion by Juve would be a good one. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, rate, and review. I like it like that when you give us 5 stars. Keep working that back no matter where you listen to your podcast. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and more. Please subscribe, share the show with a friend, and always 5 stars wherever you can. It really helps us grow the show a lot. We'll see you in New York, not sitting at standings, hopefully, and here again next week for another thrilling episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. But until then, remember, no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter what they take away, they equivocally cannot spell chop 'em without hope. So chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Beavs back, and good vibes to Benny.
Take care, y'all.